Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Protecting Your Money from Scams and Fraud. My name is Dominique Valgeri. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist. Joining me today are my colleagues, Migdalia Gomez. She's AVP of Community Engagement, as well as Terrence Bazil. He is also Community Engagement Specialist. And meet the experts. We have Leanne Camacho today. She's Deposit Operations Manager, as well as Emilio Pasarero. He is a Support Center Administrator. And Ruby Winters is here. She is the Fraud and Dispute Specialist. And they will be helping us and guiding us along and giving you some tips about how to protect yourself. But before we get started, I wanted to talk to you and give you a brief background about our credit union. It's not for profit banking. We are community focused. That means our members, we just really simply exist for our members. We offer them a variety of different savings and options so that whatever money we make, we give it back to our members in the form of different education, as well as we have a lot of different products from loans to checking and savings. And refinancing options as well. And if you want to get to figure out how to find us, you can visit us at one of our locations, and you can also bank with us online. We have a financial wellness, it's called Thrive, and we also partner up with GreenPath. And right there, you can go on that website at huecu.org/thrive, and you can see a lot of different financial counseling, different blogs and workshops. And you can actually have videos and calculators right at the education portal and figure out different ways and different benefits that you can have for your financial needs. And before we get started, wanted to remind you that you are the background noise. We've reduced that background noise. So if your dog is barking, don't worry, we won't be able to hear them. And we'll be using the questions feature, and you can actually let us know where you are joining us from. So just to test it out and see if it's actually working. So while you guys are doing that, wanted to remind you that this presentation is being recorded, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel at My HUECU. Let's see where people are joining us from while we're doing all of that. Okay. Also, at the end of all of this webinar, we have a survey. So you can take that survey, let us know how we're doing, how we did. If we didn't do something great, we can do it better next time. Let me see. Hold on one second. Oh, someone's joining us from Cambridge. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right. Another one is joining us from Cambridge. Cambridge is big today. All right, so we'll continue on, and I'll go back and forth and check to see where other people are joining us. We have some great news as well. We have a new branch at the Longwood Medical area. So it's going to be opening up in a couple of weeks. So we don't have an exact date. Once we find out, we'll let you guys know. All right, without further ado, what are scams and fraud and scams rather? You know, we all have been a victim, or people try to get us in different ways. And some of those ways include, they're targeting us. They're like trying to get us. It's like they're sitting at home waiting, saying, let me see who I can get, right? They'll do things such as, calling us, trying to figure out, different Ponzi schemes, trying to get our money. And so the difference between a fraud and a scam usually is very complex. They target corporations or different organizations. And of course, it results in monetary losses. Now, the scams, they involve a loss of money, but they target individuals, such as you and I. So they'll do different things and access your account and try to say you're a winner of something to try to get your money. So I'm going to pass it on to my colleague, Terrence. He's going to dive into a deep dive and give you some more explanation. Terrence?
Hi, thank you, Dominique. Thank you so much. And I will be going over what scams and fraud are and some examples and what you can do to protect yourself. What I'll do first is type of scams. There are deposit checks, money transfers, and to give a little bit more detail, I'll kick this over to Leanne, and she can go into a bit more detail of what scams to be on the lookout for.
Thanks, Terrence. I'm Leanne. I'm the Deposit Operations Manager. I've been with Harvard now for 2 years, in the banking industry for 20 years. I unfortunately have seen all of these scams come across my desk. So I'm going to start with the oldest one. It's depositing a check. So anytime you accept a check to be deposited into your account, there's always that risk of it being returned. Maybe the person that gave it to you didn't have enough money to clear the check. But anytime you accept a check, you want to always be sure that the person you are dealing with is trustworthy. Once you deposit that check, you now hold the responsibility of those funds. One of the examples that I'm going to talk about right now is most recent ones that I've been hearing about is, easy jobs or selling items on social media sites. I've dealt with members who thought that they were working for a company, they would receive their first paycheck, the member would receive more money than expected and would question this with the company. The company would give them a story of there was a clerical error, just send us back $500 and you can keep the rest for inconvenience. Once you deposit that check into your account, usually you're going to use the funds right away. And within 2 to 3 days, the check is returned back and the bank has to withdraw the funds from the account. So now you're at a loss of what you used and what the check amount was for. Same thing with selling items. I had a woman who thought she was selling furniture to a trustworthy person. It was through social media. Again, received more in the check than expected. Was asked to send the money back. Same ending story. She lost all, everything that that she deposited. People, I'm gonna go into the lottery and sweepstakes. It's all the same thing. People would get letters in the mail saying that they won the lottery. They'll leave you a contact number for you to call and get all your personal information to use at a later time. You deposit the check, you use the funds, same thing. The check comes back fraudulent. You didn't win anything. So the best thing to do is, if you're not playing the lottery, then most likely you didn't win the lottery. They're not going to search for you. They're going to want you to go to them to obtain your funds. So anytime you get something like that, you want to just throw it out when you get it in the mail, ignore it. It's usually a scam. Unfortunately, it's a vicious cycle. With checks, scammers have gotten better in replicating bank and business checks. It's difficult for us to see or catch them all, which is why we have hold policies in place to protect you and the financial institution. We do have some fraud detection systems that can help with decision making. It's not always 100%. But the only thing that I can recommend is, if you don't feel comfortable with the check you receive, you can always verify it with the bank that it's associated with. It'll always be listed on the check. I don't recommend using the number that's on the check or any of the information. You should research it yourself separately. Just a simple Google search can give you everything you need to know about a bank. If you do deposit the check, don't use the funds right away as a precaution. The normal time frame to get it back for a fraudulent check is usually around up to 5 business days. I think that's a good enough. It's a good time to kind of sit back and see what happens before you actually start using the money. The next thing is money transfers. Online romance scams and all that. I just heard a story 2 days ago. I was actually pretty surprised how easily people can fall into romance scams. This woman was living in Japan. She is living in Japan, very lonely, got befriended by someone online. He manipulated her to give them $30,000 to assist them to travel to Japan to be with her. This person pretended to be an astronaut who was out in space and needed funds to get a shuttle back to Earth to be with her. Yes, this is a true story. This really happened. She finally contacted police when they were asking for more money. She became suspicious, but unfortunately, she has already handed over $30,000 of her money. I can talk about tons of romance scams that people have fallen for, giving away their life savings to people they've never met. The scammers are really good at what they do. They'll put fake profile pictures out there that look appealing to everyone. They'll sweet talk you. tell you everything you want to hear. They look for people who are very vulnerable. Once the scammer has them, once the scammer has you in their hooks, you know, they know they're going to get the money from you. It's an easy job to the scammers, and they're very good, at it. But for the victim, once the money is gone, there's not much you can do at that point. Usually the romance scams are through wire. It's the fastest, easiest way to get the money over to anyone that's international. Wires are always perceived to be the safest way to send money. But it's only if you trust the individual that's receiving it. So if you don't feel good about something, you should always, trust your gut and your instincts, and, even ask your banking institution for advice. Usually we've seen it all and can give you the best route of what to do. And usually it's to kind of end all communications with the person you're talking with. The grandparent scam, I'm sure some of you have heard it over the news, where, a grandparent is contacted. It's an individual over the phone pretending to be either a police officer or someone from the court, saying that, their grandson or granddaughter was arrested and they need X amount of money to drop the charges or, have them released. The scammers have gone to great lengths of actually having someone go to the grandparent's house and collect the money, so that way it can be resolved quickly. And they put a lot of panic, into the grandparent's mind, thinking this is like everything's an urgency, or you're going to lose this, or, anything like that, that just sounds, they throw off the thinking of the person, so that way they don't have time to think, they just want to act. And that's why it's so easy to, just give the money. Gift cards is another one. If anyone is asking you to pay for something by gift card, it's a red flag. Again, it's always an urgency. You're going to lose this if you don't hand over what they need. It makes you act quicker. And then once you load the gift card, they're usually even on the phone with you while you're going through this, while you're going through the steps. And then once you have that gift card loaded, they're going to ask you for the card information and the PIN number. And then once you provide that, the money's gone. Even, if you think that you've caught it in time, once you use the gift card to try to get your money back, it's pretty much invalid. So those are all ways that you can easily lose your money, where these are all red flags. These aren't typical payment methods that people would ask for. So anytime someone's asking you to send back payment through gift card, I suggest you don't do it. The next thing on the list, phishing and smishing scams. This comes with the new technology that we all have fallen to love. The digital world makes things easy for all of us, but also opens new windows to scammers to find their victims. Phishing is when emails are sent to you replicating a company like Amazon to get personal information from you, such as credit card numbers or passwords. You never want to click on a link that is suspicious or open an email that you are not expecting. The scammers have gotten really good at, making emails look valid. When it first started happening, usually there's misspellings or, something just doesn't sound right. But if the subject line is stating, urgent, please read, or your Google account is going to be disconnected, those are usually red flags to stay away from. Smishing is the new term for text messaging scams. I know I've been getting a lot of text messages that I know I should be staying away from, so I just delete them. It's really easy for the scammers to spoof telephone numbers nowadays. So you think it's coming from utilities, or I'm going to use, Amazon again. They will try anything to make you click on a link, or give you any information that they need to, you know, finish their process. And that is to basically try to get as much money away from you as possible. You click on a link, it's going to download, most likely that it's going to be downloaded malware onto your phone, and then they'll have access to everything. Passwords, any apps that you have downloaded on your phone, they'll pretty much be able to get into. Government impersonators. That one's another one. The government will never text you or email you. If you're getting anything like that, that's stating, you know, you owe taxes or there's a fine, that is definitely a scammer trying to, try to get information from you. The government will send letters through the mail. That is their only source of method for contact. They indicate this on their website. They actually have great material on irs.gov that will pretty much tell you what to look for, what they do and what they don't do. So, I mean, bottom line, I mean, it's just always good to just trust your gut. If it doesn't feel right, investigate what is happening. And like I said, you can always contact your financial institution. We can always assist you if you see something or come across any of these scenarios. We can help you guide through it. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you for sharing that, Leanne. I mean, that was insightful. That was a little scary, but I appreciate all the information that you shared with us. I think we feel a bit more ready and we are a bit more wiser now because of it. So next slide, we're going to ask and look into why care about scams and fraud. So some of the effects of compromised information can be, they can create a new identity with your information, obtain loans and credit cards under your name and not pay off the debt, potentially access your finances, and or prevent or delay you from reaching your goals. And during this time of season right now, it's a holiday season, this can be very scary. What can you do to protect yourself from these bad actors that Leanne mentioned? What you can do is you can recognize the red flags. You can see the sense of urgency that Leanne mentioned in some of her scams, where they would bring up the sense of time, saying you don't have time, you have to act now, and really stops you from going through the normal process of thinking, such as odd requests, asking you for personal information, gift cards, money, threatening you, and the tone of the message as well. Is that S for the HTTPS secure in the email or the link that they've sent you. Don't open any unknown attachments through email and or text messaging, and look for poor grammar and spelling in any of the communications that you're receiving to ensure that it is accurate and secure. For example, I know it might be a bit hard to see, but this message from Capital One, if you look at right there at the top, that email address, YYKN, a whole bunch of gibberish, that's not Capital One, as well as the logo right underneath it. That does say Capital One, however, that is not their direct logo. What you also want to look at is your $90 Capital One reward, but in the message, it mentions $50. So just a little bit of digging, you can see that one, it's saying it's expiring soon, the email link is incorrect, the information in the body of the email as opposed to what the subject line is does not match, as well as the logo. So do a little bit of due diligence, do some digging, and save yourself the time and the headache from going through a scam. And I think this is another example that might be kicking off to Migdalia.
Thanks, Terrence. This is another example. This is a really good one. Not that the other one wasn't, but this one, it's harder to identify what could be the potential scam. So one of the things here, and this was actually something that I had received. Apologies, my brother had received this one, and he's on my Netflix account, and he received this. He's like, he sent it over to me. He thought it was fishy. He was good. He didn't click on any of the links. And it says that he was a new member. He wasn't. So that's one thing to be aware of. And, it's going to come up in one of our other slides, but having the conversation with family members as well, all this information that we're sharing with you, share it with others. My brother, he knew not to click on this, but also if you look at the email, the casualness of it, like, hey there, instead of the customer name, which is much more common. Additionally, all these links to set up the account. If you receive an email like this and you think, you know what, this may be real, one of the things that you could do is just go to the actual website. I personally have a credit card and there were fraudulent charges on it. I received a text message, but instead of going through the text message, I actually logged onto the app and then saw if the charge was there, contacted the credit card company through the app instead of clicking on the link because I just wasn't sure if it was accurate. So if you do receive the information, get an email that you don't see the logo, it seems a little fishy, but you're not quite sure, just go straight to the source but go on your own. Don't go by clicking those emails. And I'll turn it back over to you, Terrence, I believe.
Thanks, Migdalia. Next, we're going to be talking about protecting yourself and how you can do that. Best ways: be stingy with your information. Verify who you are doing business with and ensure accuracy. Use secure Wi-Fi, emails, websites, and mail to ensure everything is on the up and up. And when in doubt, ask for help. You can contact us, you can contact your kids or someone in your family that might be a bit more ready and reasonable. Ask for help. And if anything at all, please report to the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov/complaint and talk to your family in terms of elders and children, because they may be more susceptible to scams. Because scam artists are not really, they don't have morals, so they will target elders and children.
Thanks, Terrence. So I think I'll take it from here. And I did put it in the chat. Someone had asked, what is the best way to report scams? And Terrence gave the website. And thank you, Terrence, for taking this slide so I could type it in the chat while you were speaking to it. The other big one is asking for help and knowing that the financial institutions, we're here to help you. I'm going to turn it over now to Emilio, who is our support center manager, and he can get into more details of what we specifically do at HBCU to protect you and also what type of information we would not ask you.
Thanks, Victoria. So anytime anyone contacts the support center or the credit union, whether it's an email, secure messages, phone, the first thing we do is make sure that we're speaking to the member. And that could be through multiple different combinations. We'll ask security questions. If we're still not sure or there's any doubt on the agent's ends, we have specific tools we can utilize to contact the member at information we have on file. We can send certain codes to, say, your cell phone number on file, just to ensure that it is you that we're speaking to. One of the things the credit union will never do is we will not speak to third parties, anyone on your behalf, even at times that situations may be legit. We've had scenarios where somebody calls and say it's the sister of somebody or somebody's spouse and they can't speak at that particular time. Unfortunately, we were not able to speak to them unless we can confirm or speak to the member and get their verbal consent. Some of the things we'll never ask for that we've heard recently is the credit union will never ask for another institution's financial account number, credit information, full social security number, anything that you think is questionable or anything that we would never need. Things like that we'll never ask for. We'll also never call and say, one of the things we've seen is we saw a scam recently where this, particular scammer was targeting elderly folks. And they would contact them and they would say, this is a credit union, not Harvard Credit Union, just a credit union. And we need to take over your computer because there was, an online banking issue. Credit union will never do anything like that. And honestly, no institution would. So a couple of things is be very clear and deliberate. If somebody contacts you and said, hey, this is the credit union. If it's Harvard Credit Union, even if it's one of our third parties calling you, say card services or something like that, they will always state Harvard Credit Union. They will give you the last 4 digits of your card number. They will give you our contact information. So if you ever get anyone that says this is your credit union, they need anything, chances are it's a scam. We'll never ask to take over your computer. You know, we do have different technologies out there where if you contacted the credit union, and let's say you were navigating our loan page and you needed assistance with guidance, we can use a function which is called co-browsing. That would be initiated by you. We would send a code to you that you would have to approve and allow. And the only access that gives us is to view what you're viewing while you're on the credit union's website or within your online banking. We can never see anything outside of those particular realms. Anyone that wants to take over your computer or have access to anything like that, it's definitely not the credit union. It's something we would not ask for. We do have the right, if we're not completely convinced that we're speaking to the individual. Some of the technologies we've utilized is scheduling a quick Zoom meeting with a member to ensure that the person we're speaking to matches the information we have on file, whether it's a government issued ID or something like that, just to ensure that we are speaking to who it is. Because unfortunately, we are seeing, you know, different levels of fraud all over the place. It could be wire fraud, identity fraud, and that's really where it gets kind of more difficult. The most common that we see in support is credit card fraud and debit card fraud. And it's a lot of the times because somebody will give their debit card number and their PIN number out to somebody say they know. Never do that again, because it's now, you know, it's you're turning that obligation over to the other person, even if you know them. And we've seen, unfortunately, in most cases, it's elderly folks, but they'll, you know, give their information to somebody that's taking care of them or something like that. So fraud can happen even with individuals that know you. The other thing to be cognizant about is when you go to an ATM machine, you know, make sure you look at the ATM machine and make sure it looks, you know, as silly as it sounds, as an ATM should, because there are items out there called skimmer devices that can read your information. You know, you have to really be careful with, know your surroundings anytime you're doing anything. When in doubt, the best thing to always do is call us. If you're not sure it's the credit union, if you're not sure, especially if they're saying, hey, Harvard Credit Union is asking you for blah, whenever in doubt, call us, email us, know for a fact that it is us. That's really the best way to protect yourself and for us to protect you. Credit union does a really good job. If we do hear of frauds or scams going on, our marketing department is excellent. You know, they will try to get emails out to members. They'll put messages on our website. They'll put messages within the online banking, just to alert you folks, to let you know, hey, these are going on, just to be cognizant of, you know, whatever particular scams are going on at that particular time. The best thing, again, just to reiterate, is call us when in doubt. It's really the best thing you can do. Me, myself, you know, I got a call just a few weeks ago, and going back to the saying the credit union thing, it literally said, hey, we need to call you because there was fraud on your card, call your credit union. Legit sounding, but obviously when you looked at the number, it's not our number, never said Harvard Credit Union. And I called it, of course, just because I was curious, and it took you to a completely fake person who was just not in any way, you know, a financial institution. There was also within that voicemail a link that you could click on, which obviously I didn't, but if you did, could have really compromised your information. And to an earlier point, you know, once they take over your device or your computer, you could be really in a bad way. One of the best things I could say to protect yourself kind of across the board is to put a credit alert on your credit report and to know what's on your credit report. You know, there's been so many times that we've seen people that, you know, just don't really pay attention to their credit report, or they'll look once a year or whatever it is. And we've seen that what fraudsters will do is they'll open a small credit line or two in your name. They'll pay it, they'll use it, they'll gradually increase the credit line, and then they'll stop paying the credit line. And that's when, unfortunately, the individual gets alerted, but now you're already in debt and you're in arrears. So not only are you now in debt for that obligation, it's affecting your credit score. And it's really hard to prove that it wasn't you. It's just a headache you don't want. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that you can do to protect yourself. And again, just to kind of reiterate all that, when in doubt, especially if it's with Harvard Credit Union, call us, notify us, get in touch with us. In this way, rest assured that it is us that you're speaking to. And if we did request something from you, you'll feel safe to be in touch with somebody, that's here. I guess the best thing I could say is we do our best to kind of protect you with technologies and security clearances. But whenever in doubt, reach out to us and contact us.
Thank you, Emilio. It's great to see the teamwork here with the presentation and just the teamwork when it comes to protecting your account. It's, we're doing as much as we can, and we hope that with these tips, you can do as much as you can so that between all of us, we can help keep your information safe and secure. So what do you do if your information is compromised? We're trying our best to prevent it, but life happens, and sometimes access, as much as we protect ourselves, they may get to our information. So a couple of things, Emilio spoke about this, is freezing your credit. By freezing your credit, it essentially makes it so that you would get a PIN number. You would have to contact the credit bureaus to do this. And only you with that PIN number can unfreeze your credit. Why this would be important would be if I wanted to open an account, let's say a credit card, I wouldn't be able to open that credit card unless I unfroze my credit with my PIN number. This would protect me so that if that scammer or fraudster had access to my information, they couldn't just open the account, because yes, they may have my social, my birth date, all the other demographic information, but they would not have that PIN number. Also, this is very important. We do a good amount of presentations on credit and credit reports, but review your information, review those monthly account statements. I had mentioned earlier that I had some information that was compromised, and I found out because I had a text message alert. So I had alerts set up that every time a charge happened, I would get an alert. So when I saw that alert, I was like, this is not right. This wasn't me. And I was able to contact my credit card company, and they were able to cancel that charge. And shortly, Ruby, who works in our credit card department, will talk a little bit about some tips. Also, you have credit monitoring that you can sign up for. You can add additional security on your different accounts. One of those security that you can do, putting alerts on your account so that you know when something happens. And I'll turn it over to you, Ruby, because you have a good amount of experience on this, and you can help us be better.
Yes. Hi, I'm Ruby Winters. I've been working for the Harvard Credit Union for quite some time. I've been doing fraud for 15 years, so I've seen all the cases come through the years. But as you mentioned, filing a police report, it sounds like, it might not be important, but it really is important. And I want to stress that because if there's trends in the area, the police will monitor it, and they have communication with the banks to go over cases, especially, as Leanne said, the wire transfers, and they're all aware of what's going around in the surrounding areas. So I would highly recommend filing a police report. And sometimes in our cases, we really do recommend it, especially if it's to do with a scam, because we're not sure, what type of scam it is, and we need some more information. And the police can always find the IP addresses, and they can really work hard on it and get some solutions sometimes. So I would highly recommend to do a police report. And yes, and then for the credit monitoring, I would definitely sign up for that as well. They have these websites now where, like, LifeLock, I'm not sure about them, but I would go more with the credit reports itself and sign up for like a monthly, it's not costly at all. So I'd sign up for something like that to monitor your credit report. And then we have, like, Amelia was saying, we have security ourselves that you can set up on online banking. You can set up your own amounts and locations to help the fraud. And then you will receive like a text message saying, your account is being accessed for whatever amount it is. And then you get, can notify us as well. And I also want to touch base that, Amelia said, check it out, call us. I also want to say that whenever you're doing anything with anybody, even if it's simple as ordering a t-shirt or a shirt online, Facebook, always Google it. Check it out yourself. Go online. If you're dealing with any type of companies that I would definitely do that and look online for stuff like that, because a lot of people will put complaints out there and you will find them out there. You know, that's a suggestion I would highly recommend. I do it all the time myself. You know, is this a good site? You know, you're not sure, you know, it will be out there for you to view. And like Amelia said, you can always call the credit union. We can help you with that. So closing your accounts is the next thing I want to talk about. So if your debit card or your credit card's been taken, we don't need to close your account. But if you're, you know, once again, if you're in doubt, call us. We can go over the situation with you. We can make the decision whether or not you need to close your account. If it's a fraud scam and they have your checking account information, absolutely, we need to close your account. But we're here to help. And like I said, just call us and we'll walk you through it and help you with that as well. And any other questions, but that's pretty much it for me.
Thanks, Ruby. And I did put it in the Q&A, but I want to remind folks, if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A feature to submit them. We have, as you've heard, great tips from Ruby, Leanne, and Emilio. If there's anything in particular that you would like to discuss, please submit it via the Q&A. As always, do not include account number, do not include personal information. Definitely keep it as general as possible. And that's actually another tip that just came to mind. We do a lot of different webinars, and I know it's, you know, very often other organizations are also doing the same. Depending on how it's set up, sometimes the chat or the Q&A can be public. So you really want to be aware to never include personal information like account numbers, phone number, anything other than your name. Don't include your email. Just keep that, you know, these mediums are now, as much as we try to keep it safe, there is a part us as users need to do in protecting our information, especially through these forums. Even when you email us, no need to include your account number. Probably the best way to contact us via email is through online banking. Emilio can speak a little bit more to that if anyone has any questions, but definitely if you are contacting us and wanted to contact us directly instead of emailing, I would just do it through our online banking app, because we'll know that it's you because you have to log into that. So it gives us another level of protection. A couple of additional resources if your information is compromised or if you just want to learn more about the topic. And also remember, we're learning and sharing, because the more that you know, the more that you can share with those in your households, especially the elders and children. I really want to emphasize with children nowadays, there, you know, so much is on social media. They may receive a message or a friend may ask them about hey, what's your social security number? They may not know what that is, but they may know where it is and they might find it, they might share it, or they may click on a link online without realizing that it now has access to their phone. So you really want to share this information with elders and children, but especially children that are on their phone most of the time, especially through social media, because you never know what's out there. But if that information is compromised, or if you want to just learn a little bit more, the federal government has identitytheft.gov. It provides a good amount of information, step-by-step, what you can do. And always, just as we said, continue to be vigilant. You all also have access to Green Path Financial Wellness. These are accredited credit counselors. It's a partnership that we have because as a not-for-profit, our number one priority is to make sure that you have access to good information and good financial resources. And part of that is free financial counseling. Through Green Path Financial Wellness, if you are ever a victim of identity theft, you can also give them a call. And this is in addition to contacting us, in addition to reaching out to us. If you wanted a little bit more help or more counseling, that is another resource that's free to you and anyone in your household. So if someone that's not a member, but they're in your household is a victim of identity theft, you're more than welcome to share this with them. We also have an entire section on our blog dedicated to fraud and scams. You can subscribe to it and you would get a once a month email with top articles, or you can view it at your leisure. I know for myself, having that email is a bit helpful because then I don't have to worry about missing something. The recap email really is helpful. I am going to put a quick survey in the chat. Please take a moment to let us know what didn't we cover that you'd like for us to cover. Is there anything else we could expand in the future? Are there any other topics that are of interest to you? And with that, I do see that there are a couple of questions that are coming in. So please continue to to keep those questions coming in. And I do want to do a very quick disclaimer. We are providing very general information, but for your specific situations, that's why you'll need to contact us. We'll need to speak to you directly because it's hard to give general information as to what everyone should do. For example, Ruby mentioned, may not need to close your accounts. Some of you, that does mean that some of you may need to. So if you're not quite sure, that is why we're here. We're here to help you. So please contact us directly. I do see a question that came in. I'll read the question out loud and then we'll kind of see who wants to jump in. I think I may be able to answer part of this one myself, but the question was, is there a safer way to request your credit reports at online websites for Experian, TransUnion, and the other one, Equifax? Since we need to enter our personal information, I feel is not safe. Would you recommend a paper form sent by regular mail instead? Okay, so I think I'll start off with this one, and then maybe Leanne, if you want to talk a little bit more about mail, because I know that could be a way that information could be accessed. With credit reports, you can actually go, and I'll put it in our website, in the chat. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. So a couple things here. It is a .com. It is a free website, and it's actually the one that is it's mandated that by the federal government that the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, provide you with a free credit report through that website. So annualcreditreport.com is the one that we recommend. Additionally, if you were to contact Green Path Financial Wellness, they can pull your TransUnion credit report. They will ask you for your social security, your phone number, other basic information to pull your credit report, and then they will email you that information. But they can only do TransUnion. As for the other website, it's annualcreditreport.com. As for sending paper form or sort of any other information via mail, I don't know, Leanne, if you want to take this or if anybody else would like to jump in.
Yeah, and websites can be safe. You can always call them too over the phone, but sending stuff through the mail it can be a safe option. I'm always afraid of the mail, but regular mail can be safe as long as you're getting the right information, where to send the information. There's been some fraud, believe it or not, with mail, where people are stealing mail from mailboxes. So nothing is really safe nowadays. You just have to be sure whichever way you choose to send your personal information, you're comfortable with. That's probably my best advice. I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in.
In recency, I'll just touch on that. Depending on the website, to Leanne's point, the websites, if they're legit websites, they're regulated, they're encrypted, they have to meet certain security levels. And based on some of the things we've heard recently, mail can go either way. Also to Leanne's point, mail can be compromised very easily. Somebody can take it out of your mailbox. The person delivering the mail, obviously not that we're trying to point to any specific individual, but I'm always hesitant to put all that personal information on a piece of paper and then mail it. Where of course websites, you have to be careful and diligent as well. If it's a truly regulated website and a legitimate website, those institutions are taking those security steps to ensure that your information is safe. So obviously it's up to you and whatever you're comfortable with. But depending on the website, especially some of the ones that Migdalia mentioned, they're relatively safe websites. The only other information I could say is, obviously make sure you're not on a public computer when you're entering your information. So I would never advise doing that in like a hotel. Make sure if it's on Wi-Fi, it's secured Wi-Fi. Don't do it on an open channel. Just take all the steps you can to protect yourself. But if it is a legitimate website and you're on your own personal device, that is what's considered a lockdown device. You're relatively safe. In my opinion, honestly, in most cases, probably safer than putting all that information in the mail. Because once you put it in the mail, it's really at the mercy of somebody else. So.
Thank you, Emilio, and I think I see, the individual said thank you as well. So I don't see any additional questions. I just want to take another moment to thank Ruby, Leanne, and Emilio for all of their help during today's webinar and providing all these different tips. And just remind folks, as we've said throughout, if there are ever any situations that you're unsure of, even if it's not with us as the financial institution, maybe it's your other financial institution or some other call that you receive and you're not quite sure, we're here to help. We're here to be a resource. So feel free to give us a call. I put our phone number in the chat, but I will also share it so that you have it, especially for those watching our recording. It's 617-495-4460. And you can always come into a branch as well if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.